Now, I'd like to ask you, sir, just before this panel, I was chatting with you and said, what kind of technologies do you use in the military? Nigerians want to know, because sometimes when we see some things happen, it is very clear that those in power don't have ideas. And we that have ideas, we don't have the power. Am I correct with that? Correct. You people were waiting for them already. Now, AVM, how do we ensure that we put the power in the hands of the people that have the ideas? How do we create that convergence? How do we ensure that this is not just another talk shop? Because there is no nation in the world that does conferences like Nigeria. Absolutely, and I mean it. But what we want to try to do here, what MacArthur Foundation and Rise Networks and the ABU Masscom Department is doing, is to interrogate these issues in a way that makes this a result-oriented forum. For example, one of the biggest challenges that we have in artificial intelligence in the world right now is that there are no women in the space. In the whole world. Yesterday, Fred said, oh, ST, there's only one woman out of 4 panelists. I said, well, go and look at the statistics online. Research shows that only 22% of AI experts, researchers, practitioners are women. 1 out of 4 is 25%. It means that our own statistics we are doing fairly okay. But let me tell you where the headache is. When you look at the fact that the seatbelt of a car is designed to exclude a certain gender, it's clear that women were not in the room during that product design. I'm being very frank. You know, I've learned to think. ABM, you're smiling too much at me, sir. Please don't come at me. Now, I'm being factual. I'm Yoruba. I went to school in the north. I've learned to think in development, to think in solutions, because the book of Lamentations was not written because of we Nigerians. If you want to clap, you can feel free. It is clear that if we do not have diversity and inclusion in some of these technologies, we are going to be running on 50% of our potential. We need women in the room to balance this idea. I use the example of the seatbelt because if you see that people made a seatbelt that crosses this way, you will know that they were not married to think that my wife is pregnant. This seatbelt crossing this way cannot work. We should have tried another way. Look, I think it was Apple. They phased out one of their, and you can Google a fact. Please feel free to fact check me. Not on our Runam app, because we only run elections. But fact check me on Google or anything. If you look at, Apple phased out one of its products because they realized that when women use that product, it serves them less in terms of quality than when men use it. And I'm being frank, 48% of Nigeria's mobile phone market is controlled by a company called, the same company that owns Techno, Infinix, and Oppo. 48%. And guess what? If you use a Techno mobile phone to take a picture, and you use a Samsung mobile phone to take a picture, if you use a Techno mobile phone and a Samsung mobile phone to take a picture, the Techno mobile phone is likely going to be better in your quality of photograph than Samsung. You know why? Because Techno has focused their energy on the Nigerian market. They use that data to improve their product design. If you take Infinix into America, it doesn't work. And it's not because they told me, it's because I've used it. Because America knows that the day Infinix works in the US, Apple is finished. Why would I have a cheaper mobile phone with better quality and then go and pay premium price for using Apple? That's the importance of diversity and inclusion. And I'm going to ask you that question because you are in the military. We almost share same similarities with the technology space and the military. Why are there no women? And how are you going to improve these systems when women are typically the beneficiaries of all the crises and the attacks and all the funny things that we see. Now, I'm speaking for a demographic that typically are supposed to be in the other room. AVMP.
Thank you, Toyos. Am I correct?
Gen Z, I love it.
I would say ideas rule the world. It doesn't matter when we catch up, but eventually I think we are going to catch up. Once we realize that there was once upon a time that we knew ideas did rule the world. And we're very great people as at that point in time. And not to let you despair, the prof spoke. I think when we shape the minds of young generation like yours, we are actually preparing you very robustly for the future. We are trying to shape your mind to understand that rather than seeing obstacles, there are opportunities. The developed world, including China now, they are not reading. They are ignoring rigors. And I think that was what influenced part of the discussion this morning. Whether to allow our students to just run away with chatbots or we subject them to the rigors of learning is a skill set that Africans should not throw away. I was telling my son, I'll tell you 2 stories and you'll see where they converge and what you decide to do with it. When I was in the UK, just like most of us in the armed forces, this country trained us to the highest level of education. And that's what most of you don't understand. You understand, where are you running to? They built their own country. Doesn't matter how bad it is, we have to build ours. Nobody's going to build it for us. And it's incumbent on this generation to do that. Until we start putting that narrative to you, for you to understand that the road is going to be difficult, but it's your job. You must build this country. There are opportunities. When my daughter came in one day from school, every night, she now said, Daddy, you have to tell me bedtime stories. A generation that the sound of the train I heard was fakafiki, fakafiki. She's a generation that heard choo-choo. I wasn't wrong. The engine that time was fakafiki, fakafiki. The engine she is hearing now is choo-choo. I wasn't wrong. So when she told me to tell her a story, I was telling her the story of Shango, or Bantala, or Ya. Yes, every night. I picked a story and I told her. So one day, my mother-in-law was around, who happens to be a pastor, and she stood by the door. She heard me telling her about Bantala and Shango the first. The following day, I was talking about Oya. The woman called me, said, my son, please, don't be offended. I need to... am I not teaching this girl the ways of idol worshiping? So I smiled. I said, Mommy, this girl was watching Zeus, the Greek god of thunder. She watches Iron Man. She watches Thor, mighty Thor. What do you think they are? They are gods. She wears them. They are gods. Snow White. They are gods. Why are we afraid of our own gods and our own stories?
That's right.
Now, therein lies the opportunity for you ladies, especially most of you in mass communication. There is an opportunity. There are stories to be told, our own stories, developed with running on modern technology. I told a professor in Cranfield when I met him, I said, we are the only continent, especially sub-Saharan Africa, where our concept of learning has not been studied. That we learn on a different menu. We're a people where we relate facts through stories and music. The Chinese don't do that. The Americans don't do that. Our own mode of learning is different. And we have so many stories to tell. It's a content we can drive to the world. All those things you people do, smiling at yourself, making yourselves happy, as you did during the African Cup of Nations. How you turned conflict into fun. It was wonderful, beautiful. You engaged a global audience without conflict. That is data, it has to be studied. You need to present it to the world. Those are opportunities. Coding is not engineering. We need to also get it right. It's just Connie man, Connie game. It's con. When you understand con, when you can nutmeg, when you are tricky the way you think, you'll be an excellent programmer. It has nothing to do with mathematics. So we need to understand that for women, there is an opportunity to engage yourselves in the future, to allow you to have the family you have always wanted and the job you've also wanted. Correct. To have everything together as one. I don't agree with the narrative that because something is not suitable for a woman, a man should not use it. We also need to own our own narrative without being apologetic for it. Correct. So rather than, if I were Apple, I would have designed what was suitable for a woman. And I would have been saying that this is suitable for a woman. But you see, which goes back to the issue of if, they, them, their, and whatever. Yeah. When you pick ChatGPT on gender, what do you think you are going to get? So now, that is evident to you. But there are more dangerous things that are not evident to you. And that is why, again, I go back to the opportunity of content, opportunity of employment. And like the prof said, 1 year into learning a particular language can change everything for you in the future. And I will encourage universities to please understand that the focus of learning how to code, it should be strategic to us as a nation. And the focus should not be assessment. Assessment, the way we assess in this country, impedes learning. We need to start thinking about it. These technologies have presented new opportunities for us to assess our students. Some students are pictorial. They have graphic memory. Some students can narrate stories. They learn through stories. Some can write. We've only used one model. When I studied in Norway, trust black man, they said, how do I want my exams? Oral or written? I said, it has to be written. How can you, calculation, how can we do it? I went for my exams. And I did very well. Scored 88. It was B. In Norway, it's B. They are very high. When the Pakistani girl who understood who was cornier, she said she wanted oral. So when she sat in front of the professor asked her the first question. She said she doesn't know. The professor asked her the second question. She said she doesn't know. The professor now said, what do you know? She said, I know this, I know this, I know this. And the professor said, okay, since you know this, answer this question. In summary, the girl got an A. That's my girl. Now, as of today, the Indian Institute of Technology, their Institute of Technology, their model of exam was exactly what I saw about 15 years ago. They will give you the paper. They will ask you to set the questions on what you were taught in class. They will ask you to answer it.
I know you people still want us to jackpot. You've not jackpot that.
Now, what I learned when I saw that was that as a people, we've been approaching learning from a very wrong perspective. So we need to look at it. Technology is giving us the opportunity. Now, the issue of women in the armed forces. The armed forces, we must understand that what disables a man is not physical, it's the environment. Disability starts with the environment. If I put a ball on top of this place and I asked anybody to pick it, none of us will pick it because we are actually unable to pick it. But if I put a lever and I brought a physically deformed person and put that person on that lever, they will pick it. So our environment disables us, but technology is leveling the game for women to significantly participate in the armed forces.
That's right.
For instance, in the field of data analysis, geospatial data gathering, open source intelligence, flying, our ladies are excellent pilots. They can fly, it's a machine. I've seen ladies driving big trucks because the servo for the steering makes it so soft. Believe me, 30 years ago, they could never have driven that truck. No matter how you wanted to put women there, that steering would tear their chest. It was hard. It was difficult. So you needed strength. So technology is bringing about opportunities for women in the military. And there are many opportunities. And the Air Force particularly has given so many, I think significantly, when you enter the Nigerian Air Force, our technical environment, our administrative environment, our operational environment, we have significant women representation. Now, the reason why you have not found them in the military is a very hierarchical system. If you had wanted flight lieutenants as captains, majors, you'd have gotten them. But lieutenant colonel above, they are still just getting there.
But why? How did you get there?
Yeah, because as at the time where the machines that enabled us to be kinetic were there, they were limited. Those machines, they couldn't operate them. And we shouldn't be apologetic about it. They are facts. But as at today, these machines now, they have the opportunity to give us so many services, especially in the areas of intelligence gathering, which is what my colleague was talking about. Sensors. We have many types of sensors. Our UAVs, they carry payloads, they are all sensors. Our ISR platforms, they carry sensors. Our tactical UAV, they carry so many sensors. But what have we lacked? Predictive analysis. We spoke about it. Ability to gather data, to predict both behaviorally. You understand what the enemy is going to do. We are very constant the way we behave. Just watch a little child trying to walk out of a door and pretend not to see the child. The child will first go around like this, and eventually go, you will laugh, say, come back here. Because we are finite the way we do things. But when you subject large data, human data, for fast processing, the right algorithm, it gives you clear pattern. And again, for the ladies, that provides opportunity. In the field of data analysis, we need people that can provide. That's what the future is talking about. And it doesn't matter if you are doing mass communication. So be prepared. The opportunity is there. Lastly, Madam, I would like to say this. In telling our story through data, because we're happy people. Our traditions have given us coping mechanisms. When we see people like me, when I see generative AI giving me the picture of an African child with a flat hair, it saddens me. That is not our hairstyle. We must start shaping the content that we push outside for our children. When young girls say that my hair is not good enough, I need to wear a wig, it is because we have conditioned a generation on the wrong menu. Yeah. So when you are building your data set, when you are developing your local stories, so that when my daughter's child is listening to African tale, it's not going to be Snow White. It's going to be Yanibo and those stories that are almost extinct. That is what you are going to develop. Thank you.